Good morning students, welcome to biology class, and today's session we are going to be continue the topic of animal tissues. Yes, in the last class we already discussed about that the animal tissues are going to be different types are there, and these tissues are going to be helpful for movement in our body and to function and to circulate the food material, blood cells, oxygen, water molecules that already we discussed in the last class. And in the last class we also discussed about the epithelial tissue. Yes, right? And the animal tissues are four types. What are that four types? The first one is epithelial tissue. And the second one is connective tissue. And the third one is muscular tissue, and the fourth one is nothing but nervous tissue. Yes, one by one we are going to be discussed. In the last class we discussed and we started the epithelial tissue, and now let's revise some recap about the epithelial tissue. Yes, epithelial tissue will be act as a covering part, and it will be helps for protecting the different organs, and it will be act as a barrier between the different organs present in our body. And where this epithelial tissue we may see, this epithelial tissue we are going to be seeing on the skin, lining of blood vessels, and lining of the mouth, lungs of alveoli, and the kidney tubules. These places we are going to be seeing the epithelial tissue. And also these epithelial cells are tightly packed each other to form as a connective sheet with the help of fibrous basement membrane that we already seen in the last classes. And these epithelial tissue will be act as a exchange internal material from intracellular organs to extracellular organs that we already discussed in the last class. And now we are going to be continue the topic. The epithelial tissues are having different structures. Based on the different structures, it is going to be placed in different parts. What are they? And now we are going to be see about that parts. Yes. Differentiate epithelia shows a different structures that correlate with their unique functions. For example, in a cell's lining of blood vessels or lung alveoli, where the transportation of gases and the substance through a selectively membrane surface, such their simple fact kind-like structure we are going to be seen that the nothing but the epithelium. There is a transportation of blood or cells or water through this in a tissue is nothing but the epithelium. That the tissue we may call it as a cumous epithelium. What the tissue? Cumous epithelium. Cumous epithelium. This tissue is a flat surface. How the structure? Now I am going to be drawn. This was the fibrous basement. For every epithelial tissue there was a fibrous basement membrane. Without this it cannot hold. Yes? And next, how the tissues will be placed, now you should see. Now you see here, this was a flat kind of surface will be helpful for transportation, and it will be lining of a layer on the mouth. Now we may see this your sides of the cheeks, it is very slight layer will be present. That layer is nothing but the squamous epithelial layer. And next, squamous epithelial layer, where you may see this lining of mouth. Remember children, that's why I am changing the board. Lining of mouth. Okay. And next, simple squamous epithelium cells are extremely thin. These are extremely thin, flat, and form a very delicate lining where the esophagus and the lining of the mouth, they are also covered with the squamous epithelium cells. And also the skin, we may see the squamous epithelium where it protects and is also called as a squamous epithelium. Lining of the mouth, skin. Okay, now we may see the squamous epithelium cells. And next, skin epithelium cells are arranged. These epithelium cells are arranged in more layers, means 2 or more layers. It will be 10, 20, 50, 30. That the more layers, it will be pattern like. That cells is called as striated squamous epithelium. Now we may see that structure also. The basement membrane is same for every epithelium. Okay. Now I am drawing the cells. Before we observed a flat kind of cells, right, where squamous epithelium. Now we are going to be see a layers of squamous epithelium, and for these layers a pattern. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4. Like this, the layers will be a pattern. We may call it as a striated. Striatified squamous epithelium. Striatified squamous epithelium. Now second one. Striatified squamous epithelium. Striated squamous epithelium. These are layers, a pattern. How it will be formed? More layers of squamous epithelium is going to be more than 2 of squamous epithelium are present in a pattern. That we may call it as a striatified squamous epithelium. And next, where you may see this, it is going to be helpful for absorption and secretion. Where it will be present? In the intestine. And tall epithelium cells are present. These striatified squamous epithelium are going to be helpful for absorption and secretion. Absorption and secretion in the intestine. In the intestine, we are going to be see the striated squamous epithelium cells. Where you in the mouth, which one you may see? Squamous epithelium. In the intestine, striated squamous epithelium. This was a slight difference for these both, the striated and squamous epithelium. Next, the columnar epithelium. So the next one is columnar epithelium. Third one is columnar epithelium. How it will be present? Now we will see. Pillar. It will be looks like a pillar form. The columnar epithelium facilitates movement across the epithelial barrier in the respiratory tract. The columnar epithelial tissue also has a cilia. Which look like a hair-like projections on the outer surface of epithelial cells. These cilia can move, and their movement helps for the what mucus forwarded to clear it. This type of epithelium is called as a ciliated columnar epithelium. Now, columnar epithelium. Yes. What does the columnar epithelium, how it will be look like? It will look like a pillar. Pillars will be straight, no? Like that. Now the basement membrane is present. It is too long, right? Before that the columnar and before that cumulus, striated cumulus are not having this much pillar-like projections, right? These are pillar-like projections. And to these, some small hair-like structures are present. To these, every cell, nucleus will be present, students. Okay. Nucleated cells, these are all nucleated cells. That's why the cells will be doubled. One by one will be doubled. Yes. What is this? Cilia. These cilia will be look like a hair-like projections. Now, how our skin is having the small hair. Like that, these cells are also having a small hair-like projections. And where these columnar epithelium will be present? In the respiratory tract. Respiratory tract means when we are going to be having the breath, no, from nostril to respiratory tract to lungs, through the lungs, this columnar epithelial will be present, and this cilia is going to be produce some mucus. This mucus is going to be helpful to clear the waste, and is going to be clear the mud, and is going to be clear the stoppage of bacteria outside only, not to enter into your body. This cilia will be look like a hair-like projections, and it is going to be act, and it is going to be helpful to stop the bacteria outside only. This columnar epithelium is present in the respiratory tract. And next, fourth one. Yes. Cuboidal epithelium. Cuboid means cuboid shape. They look like a cuboid. Cuboidal epithelium. Now we will see the structure of cuboidal epithelium. Cuboidal epithelium. This was the fibrous basement. The basement was very big. It is having a big fibrous basement, means wide fibrous basement, and the cells will be look like a cuboid. The cells will be look like a cubes. Cuboidal epithelium with cube shaped cells forms a lining of kidney tubules. It will be forms a lining of kidney tubules. Means in the tubes of the kidney, that was the passage of urine waste from the kidneys to urinary bladder, right? That the tubules, these cuboidal epithelial cells will be present. These kidney tubules and the ducts of salivary glands. Here the salivary glands will be present, okay? Salivary ducts. Yes. Where it produces mechanical support, epithelial cells often is acquire additional specialization of gland cells which can secrete substance at the epithelial surface. Sometimes a portion of the epithelial cells is tissues or get falls inward, and a multicellular glands is formed, and this is called as a glandular epithelium. Sometimes these cuboidal epithelium cells are going to be present in the kidney tubules and the ducts of salivary glands, and these are going to be helpful for the cuboidal epithelium in the kidneys and salivary ducts. And one more thing was there, that was the granular epithelium. These granular epithelium will be helpful for intracellular and multicellular functions. At that time, it will be goes to helps to in folds, means like this. Your intestine will be get folded and get relaxed, right? Like that, there the muscle at that time granular epithelium will be present. These are about the epithelium structures we discussed in this class, and once again we will be revise it. What are they? Epithelial cells are going to be helpful for covering and protecting of organs, and these are going to be helpful for act as a barrier for one organ to another organ. Based on the structures, there are 4 types. What are they? Cumous epithelium, columnar epithelium, stratified cumous epithelium, cuboidal epithelium, and glandular epithelium. First one, cumous epithelium. This cumous epithelium is having helpful for lining of mouth and skin. And next, striated cumous epithelium. This is going to be helpful for absorption, secretion of food molecules, and it will be present in the intestine. And columnar epithelium. This columnar epithelium is going to be present in the respiratory tract, and these epithelium cells are having a cilia that is going to be produce the mucus, and it will look like a hair-like projections. And the last one, cuboidal epithelium. These cuboidal epithelium cells are present in the salivary ducts of glands and also kidney tubules. And glandular epithelium is going to be helpful for folds of the muscle cells and the folds of the intracellular, multicellular cells present in your body. At that place, the glandular cells will be present. Yes children, today's session is going to be completed, and tomorrow's session we are going to be continue the topic of animal tissues, and in that and the second method, connective tissue, we are going to be seeing the next class. Be safe, stay at home, don't go to outside, be careful students. Thank you.